is that they're going to have a 2-minute opening, and there's going to be 1-minute response with the possibility of 30 seconds for questions, and then they will close with a 2-minute closing statement. Same rules apply, however, to the audience, and that is that your questions must be limited to the issues before the council, before the mayors, and they've all agreed that they are going to limit their statements to issues, not personalities, and I'm going to have to ask you to hold any applause so that we can move along, because it's going to take time and we really have to do that. So if you would please hold your applause and no remarks after your candidates speak, please. Okay? Thank you very much. I appreciate all the time and the respect that you've given. And the candidates, again, have drawn for opening state position to speak. So we're going to start right away. And the first speaker for this evening is Garrett Smith. Oh, I didn't introduce him, did I? No. Okay. Garrett Smith on my far left, the incumbent. And next to him is Joseph O'Halloran. And next to him is Jamel Holly. And thank you, 3 gentlemen. All right. We will start Mr. Smith for 2 minutes, please. And we have the same timekeepers over there. Okay. Let's go. 2 minutes.
Right. Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to come before you. I really want to thank the League of Women Voters, and I also want to thank the Collaborative for putting this together. I think this is historic in that it's our really first mayor's debate when it comes to primaries. So very excited about the opportunity to speak to you about myself and also talk about the issues that are going on in the borough of Roselle. First of all, I have 20 years of corporate experience, and really one of the reasons why I got involved in politics is because I wanted to serve. Being in corporate America was not enough for me as far as fulfilling my promise in life and the things I want to accomplish. And I realized that I want to give something back to my community. And it started off with working with young people. I worked with young people in this town for approximately 15 years, volunteering my time, working with many families, many people, even people that sit on the council, working with their children, trying to make a difference in this community. But then I found that we also had other issues besides our young people, and we needed to really get involved in our government and try to make it fair and make it open and make a difference for all of us within the community. So that's why I got involved in running for office. I'm not a career politician. I'm an independent thinker, but I also believe I can come to the table and work with many different people to make things happen. And one of the most important things about me is that I'm a people person, and I care about people, and I care about this town. And I don't have any other agenda besides doing that and serving the community. And I think as mayor over the last 8 years, we've accomplished a lot. And although we've had some roadblocks and there's been some issues, I really believe that we've had an opportunity to serve this town, and I think we've done it to the best of our ability. There always will be problems as far as other outside entities trying to cause confusion within Roselle, but my main focus is to focus on the people of Roselle, because you count and because you are important to me. And once again, I'm going for my 3rd term, and I think that we can make Roselle a better place together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the next speaker is Joseph O'Halloran.
Good evening. I'm so happy to be here. I really am. Because I don't see this as a debate. I've been professionally employed since 1977 in a variety of positions in elementary, secondary, post-secondary education. And I recognize that this is a job interview. You are interviewing me for the job of mayor. And what I'm standing on is my resume. And that's all I've been bringing around to town during the campaign is my resume. Start locally, 27-year Roselle homeowner, 27-year Roselle property tax payer. So we're very much in tune that way. Beyond that, I had the opportunity to lead on council. I was a 3-term first ward councilman from 1997 to 2005. During that time, I served on all the standing committees that all councilmen do, from DPW, Human Resources, Finance, etc. I have experience on redevelopment. I'm not talking about the possibilities of the possible maybe of redevelopment. When I was on council, we moved forward with business growth. We bought Sears, CVS, Walgreens, the whole Roselle Common Plaza, and as was I was on council that bought and voted to bring the UEZ, and at that time a 3%, now it's a 3.5% sales tax incentive. Government transparency, I have experience. I was on the council that voted to put the council on TV so that you could view. Not always happy with what you have to view, but it's there. I started the Roselle Roundup, a newspaper that you might remember, so that we could quarterly keep you abreast as to what was going on in town in terms of grants, etc. Quality of life initiatives. I started the Roselle 5K race in town. We used to raise funds and give it back to youth programming at the library, the junior ROTC, and obviously because it was sponsored by the fire department, we always gave back to the St. Barnabas Burn Center. I'm currently serving as the chairman of the Memorial Day Parade, and I'm told to stop. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next speaker is Jamel C. Holly.
Thank you so much. I want to thank all of you for being here this evening. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this event along with the Roselle Collaborative. My name is Jamel Holly, for some of you who don't know me, and I am running for mayor of Roselle. Born and raised in this town, the product of this community, went through Roselle Public School Systems, K through 12, obtained my bachelor's degree and had my master's degree in public administration from Kane University. I'm running for mayor of Roselle because I want to restore confidence in an office that some of you have given up upon. I also want to fulfill the promise of potential that many of you believe in, just like you and me. I also am running for mayor because I want to stop the back and forth of bickering that has embarrassed our municipality. Roselle has so much potential. It is a town that has so much greatness for our children, our youth, and people who want to reside in the municipality of good people. I'm running for mayor because I am proud to be a product of here. And not only do I want to see it from what it used to be, but a place where I know it can be. I want to thank the residents of Roselle who have given me an opportunity to serve over the last 7 years as your councilman. I've touched upon every spectrum of a piece of legislation that's touched upon young people, seniors, and regular families. Whether it was property tax stability programs to assist people who were facing foreclosure in their homes, whether it was enhancing senior services or youth services for our young people, and collaborating with different organizations to provide community gardens, to providing back-to-school programs. That is what Roselle can come to. That is what Roselle can be. There's so much more that can be in Roselle. And as mayor, I will instill a greatness in this municipality, a greatness that you and I can believe in. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we will now move toward the questions. We've already got what I would like to do is I'm going to start with you, Mr. Holly. And you have 1 minute to respond. If you are elected mayor, what would you do or could you do about reducing the taxes?
I think our team has displayed that we are a team of redevelopment. I know you hear a lot of talk of what one of my opponents has mentioned about redevelopment, about what they've done in the past, but that has not benefited our municipality. They've given tax abatements to businesses that have moved in this town, but not have they invested in those abatements that they have given. You've given businesses incentives, and they haven't reinvested into our municipality. They've given free money away. Our team is focused on redevelopment with bringing in new ratables and at the same time offering those same incentives. But a portion of those particular savings, we will have them reinvest into facilities, reinvest into schools, reinvest into programs that we will have for our young people and also our senior citizens.
Okay, thank you. Mr. O'Halloran?
I think the first thing you have to do is almost look at your budget as an elected official like you would look at your budget at home. When things are tight as they are now, you really have to watch how you're spending and where you're spending your money. If that means that you have to initiate an audit to find out, or you have to look at your vendors and see if you can get better pricing for different vendors, then you do that. But beyond that, as I was on council and I said about redevelopment, the key is to work with your Chamber of Commerce. Businesses bring in business. There's no magic to that. And if our Chamber of Commerce recognizes that council and mayor are working with them, then they will, I think, jumpstart and we can reinstitute a more aggressive redevelopment. We are a bedroom community, but we have a lot of properties along the perimeter of town that can be rejuvenated, reinvented, and obviously redeveloped. Because as I said when I was on council, we were able to do that. So one, I want to watch spending. I want to investigate how we're spending, who our vendors are. Can we get better vendors at better pricing? I don't know, but it has to be investigated.
Mayor Smith.
Yes. I think it's important, as everyone has spoken about, in reference to redevelopment. One of the things that happened under my administration is that we put together a number of redevelopment plans and also put together studies that had not been done in the past, and we also finished our master plan. Because in order to do smart redevelopment, you need an infrastructure that's together and organized and focused in the right direction. The other part is we need to talk about shared service, we need to talk about sewage buildup, which I brought up, and also the reassessment of the values of our property. As we know, the economy is in rough shape, and right now your properties are valued at a very high rate. And we need to reevaluate our properties. Many politicians are afraid to bring that up, but it's in your best interest that we get into the process of doing that. And like I said, we need to look at that sewer bill, and also we need to look at the cutting of costs with our consultants. We have way too many consultants. Even our finance department, we hired a number of consultants. We have a consultant now basically doing work in our finance department that is wasting money. And we need to cut costs when it comes to consultants. We need to have a redevelopment plan. It needs to be a balanced approach to stabilizing taxes, and we can do it. Thank you.
Mr. Holly would like 30 seconds.
Thank you. As council president, it was under my leadership that we established the Grants and Shared Services Committee, that we went to other municipalities who are now sharing services with us, such as the city of Linden and also the city of Cranford. Also, let me just be clear that redevelopment is a long process, and our team is focused on redevelopment, but we are focused on making sure and ensuring that developers who we give incentives to reinvest in our community. Both of my opponents who have had the opportunity of having the opportunity of redeveloping, they have not done so. They have not done so.
Thank you. 30 seconds is up. Yes.
Sure, 30 seconds.
I know.
Just an important point. It's important that when redevelopers do come in now, that they recognize that the mayor and council are in charge. That we have to make sure that the redevelopers, when they come in, recognize that they have to do things in terms of their projects that work for the town. From simple things, just like bringing trees in or making the site as pretty as possible to make sure that it doesn't interfere with traffic. We may have to take on our shoulders working with the county to get lights in so we can control traffic, as we did at the Roselle Plaza. We got that light in so we can control the flow to make it safe, not just for the people coming out, but for the residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith? Yes. Okay. 30 seconds for Mr. Smith.
Thank you. I'll make it quick. There's two sides to it. The side I just mentioned before was in reference to wasteful spending. We currently invested approximately $500,000 in office space that we really did not need around the corner. There was no reason for us to expand our office space around the corner and pay a lease of approximately $80,000 to $60,000 a year, and also refurbish that property that's around the corner. Also, we purchased Chet John's, which is right across the street. It's an abandoned building that we bought with no plans, with no anything. For some reason, we bought that building. No one wants to discuss it. I tried to build a school on there, but no one wants to bring up the fact that we spent $400,000 of taxpayer money on Chet John's. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on. Mr. Smith? Yes. This question is addressed to you, but I think we'll all take a stab at it. In 2007, you ran on a promise that every taxpayer would receive a $2,200 property tax reduction by 2011. Please explain why that has not materialized.
Okay, back here at the fire station, actually we had a town hall meeting. We discussed that plan that we tried to put together. And understand that we own 200 lots. No one has brought up any plan in reference to selling those lots. What I did in that year was I put together a plan to sell the lots. We sold approximately 8 lots. But right after that, the economy went down the tubes, and we were not able to sell any more of those lots. But understand as mayor, I'm the only one that has been able to sell any lots, and also able to put a plan together to sell the lots. So in reference to those lots, it's important that you understand that I'm very much about redevelopment, that even when Washington Mutual and other companies came in, I sat down personally with them and recruited Washington Mutual to come into this town in reference to redevelopment. And that's it.
Mr. O'Halloran, can you address that?
I think there's a real danger when you make promises with numbers attached, because with so many variables that can impact an economy, such as businesses, you know, the downtrend in businesses, housing values drop. I think what we are supposed to do as an elected official is make sure that those who elected us know we're working in their best interest, and that we tell them the honest truth. We can't do it now, but maybe we can, but at least show a plan, represent the plan. Mayor works with council. We have a strong council, weak mayor form of government. I'm very aware of that during my 3 terms. And council of policymakers, my job as mayor will be working with them to develop good, sound policies that we honestly can present to you to help this town move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Hall.
I want to agree with Mr. O'Halloran in the beginning part of that, is that no one should give you promises, and I think that's what we've been given over the last 8 years under Mayor Smith's administration. 200 lots would have not stabilized and or lowered your property taxes. So there had to be more to that plan than that. So he couldn't focus just on the 200 lots. But I'll take it a step further and echo off of Mr. O'Halloran that both of them know that you do need council to work with. None of them have displayed teamwork in this campaign. None of them have displayed whether or not they can work with people. As a councilman and working with the current council people for the last 5 years, I've displayed that I can work with the council, even if we disagree. We are still out on a united front, fighting for the voters and the issues. Not independent, not separate from any particular party, but working with the team. And you know, as well as I know, it takes a team to make it work. And I am one who stands here before you to tell you that I can be a team player and have displayed being a team player with the current council people currently.
Thank you. Yes, with 30 seconds.
Yes, in reference to that property, I need people to understand that we have, as a council, when I had an opportunity to work with the council in 2007, 2008, we put together a grant for $2.8 million. We were able to not only purchase the property, but also redevelop property that was in foreclosure, that was problematic property, that was over in the second ward. $2.5 million of that was put together within a 2-year period. It wasn't a matching grant. There wasn't any other money involved except getting together with the developers and working on that property. And even as a part of that, that developer that we were working with also developed the property over at the senior building and also an early childhood center that's over on Chandler Avenue. And for anyone on the council to say that it's the mayor's fault or anything's happened to the mayor, the council has to vote on many of these things when it comes to redevelopment.
Yes, sir.
I think the point here is working together. Now, as a 3-term councilman, and based on the items I recognized in my resume, I obviously had to work together. I was a first ward councilman, had to work with the team of other councilmen and the mayor. It's very important that we work as a team. We have to bring agreement, we have to bring consensus, we have to bring compromise when compromise is necessary. But I agree, we have to work together. That's the primary goal, and I think that's the primary goal of the mayor, is to get the council to work together, and I will do that. I have a master's in administration and supervision, and those credentials, I think, support my ability to do that.
Why don't we just move to the next question? And I'm going to ask you to start, Mr. O'Halloran. And what the question is 4 or 5 different cards here, is how will you ensure, if you're the mayor, that there is a working relationship between the council? And on several, how will you improve and work on collaborative effort?
Well, I think it's important, first of all, to make sure that all the council members recognize, as well as the mayor, their role. All councils sit on a variety of standing committees. The mayor doesn't sit on those committees. They do. They chair those committees. But they bring reports back to the mayor, all right, and to the other councilmen on the work of those committees. Those committees deal with the various department heads. So they keep the mayor abreast as to what's going on in town. When things seem to go askew and things are not running in the direction that they're supposed to, and that means not in the best interest of the elected of the Roselle residents. That's who we represent. We don't vote our personal conscience. We should not. We vote what our constituents should want. And what we need to do is, as a mayor needs to work the team together. I've been a team leader. I've had positions like director, chairperson, supervisor, dean. I know how to have people work under me, but I know how to get them to work for me. This is a team effort. If we look sloppy, if we look like we're not in sync, that does not bode well for the town of Roselle.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, how would you improve collaboration between the council and mayor?
Yes, I think it's important that everyone understand that the council president is the person who puts together the committees and organizes the council. But let me say that going into the year 2011 actually, one of the more important things that was going on was that the administrative position was open. And the council had decided to put someone in temporarily, but I sat with a couple of council people and we came up with the idea of bringing Dave Brown back to the borough. Now, originally, I know someone spoke about this earlier in the debate, let me just speak about this quickly, in that I was not in agreement at first because I felt the person was brought along too quickly, but I'm always open to the idea of bringing someone back that will help us work together. I feel like we can get more qualified people in the borough, but if the council will not work with them, then it will not make any sense. So I felt Dave Brown was someone that could work with the entire council, and that was one of the reasons why I put him up for appointment, and I was glad that the council worked with me on that. So I'm very open to bringing people in that can work with all of us, as long as it can bring us to a consensus.
Mr. Hawley.
Again, let me just display that I was council president for the last 2 years of the council, and I displayed that I can work with both mayor and council. The mayor, as he mentioned, that he was able to work with council, that's absolutely false. What we have here is an opportunity for the residents to see that a person who, unlike his opponents, had the opportunity to show that they can work with the council. As council president, I had the support of all my colleagues as council president. And moving forward, as the mayor, what I want to do is bring stability and decorum to the borough council. And by doing that, I will show that the current council people who are there now are in the majority. And those people that I will be serving with as mayor will also be the council. None of these gentlemen here have displayed to you that they can work with me, because they haven't. They haven't.
Thank you.
And as mayor, I will continue.
Thank you. And any 30 seconds?
Just a slight. In my many years of professional work experience, you don't work with the same one person since 1977. You take many jobs and you have to work with many new faces and many new personalities. So even though this council is not the same council that I served with from 1997 to 2005, I was able to serve very productively with that. I don't see how the experience that I've had since 1977 professionally wouldn't help add to the council and get everyone to work together. Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
That's 30 seconds.
Yes. Quickly, anyone who's seen the council meetings realizes that there's an immaturity problem when it comes to our council. What I try to do is I try to open up a situation. I try to open up good debate among the council members, and as you see, there's personal attacks, there's snide remarks, there's always things that go on when we're trying to have good debate. And that's part of the problem, that we have no leadership in the council right now. There's no one stepping up to the council saying, we really need a retreat. I don't know what they need, but we really need to sit down as council and bring it back to what it was. If nothing else, it was mature at one point.
Thank you. I'm going to move on to another question, and thank you. And I'm going to start with you, Mr. Hawley. In the past, attempts have been made with shared services, and they did work out. An example is with Roselle Park. What plans are there to save money in the future with shared services? What are your views?
Well, from the Roselle Park situation, we continue to move on because we know that the state is pressuring us on sharing services. That's why we partner with the city of Linden. That's why we partner with the city of Cranford. And that's why we partner with the county of Union to provide shared services. We know that we're going to be forced at some point to share a lot of the services with the borough of Roselle. And under my leadership as council president and also as councilman at large, that has occurred with me. And one of the things that we established to make sure that we were in sync with the state and with the future being of the state within one of the local municipalities is that that's why I created the Grants and Shared Services Committee within the council to make sure that we explore different types of shared services with more municipalities. Roselle Park situation would have saved Roselle taxpayers $600,000 over the next 5 years. Unfortunately, because of political situations with the mayor and certain council people who wanted to make that a political issue, taxpayers suffered in the end. And
thing that we can do, especially knowing that, and I agree with Councilman Holly, that the state is looking for, is going to work in our advantage when we ask for money from the state. And I was really, really disappointed in that Roselle Park initiative that it didn't work out, because actually their finance officer, Ken Blum, was our finance officer, and he was our CFO, and he was great. He was one of the best. He scored the highest test. I would have loved to bring him back. If there's any way that we could, I would do that. But we have to look and we have to be creative. All right. So in some cases, we have a paid fire department here, and we do a lot of calls outside of the municipality. Sometimes, especially if we're first responding on a very continuous basis to some of the close municipalities, we may have to look at them and maybe ask them if they would help, cover the cost of some of that, because obviously it's on the backs of our Roselle residents and those fire departments that our fire guys are outside of the borough. I don't know if that can be done, but there's nothing that should not be looked at when it comes to shared services. Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Yes. Definitely, I'm a proponent of let me just explain quickly about the problems that we had with partnering with Roselle Park with our finance department. People say, and I agree with Councilman, former Councilman O'Halloran, that the state of New Jersey pushes us to do shared service. But actually, in this case, the state of New Jersey shut down the project. It wasn't any council member that shut it down. The state of New Jersey stopped us from moving our finance to Roselle Park because it was a problematic situation that they did not support at all. But I think it's important that we begin to sit down and really discuss, because one of the problems we have, I heard about a committee created with shared service, but no one knows what's being discussed in this shared service situation until it comes out to the council. So I'm hoping that the citizens get involved in this process, that we all can sit down and discuss seriously what we're going to do about shared service. Because I really believe just furloughing clerks does not save us tax money. We just really need to come up with serious shared service. Thank you.
Thank you. Any 30 seconds?
Yeah, let me rebut to that. The state of New Jersey did not stop the shared services program for the Roselle Park and Roselle Finance Department. It was the pressure that came from the mayor of Roselle and his cohorts of people who went over to Roselle Park, who basically scared Roselle Park's elected officials and residents about merging with Roselle. That's it at the end of the day. When we first proposed this particular shared services, and as you know, as Councilman O'Halloran said, Kim Blum was our CFO. This would have been a decent.
Sorry about that. Okay, Mr. O'Halloran?
Just a quick rebuttal. I don't think the mayor should ever do anything to undermine the initiatives of council. He may not agree, but I think that's one of the roles of the mayor, is to make sure that he can work and come up with some agreement and consensus. I will never, ever undermine council, because if you undermine council publicly outside the borough of Roselle, you're undermining your own residents. I would never do that as your mayor.
Mr. Smith? 30 seconds.
No, first of all, I did not undermine the council. As I said, the state of New Jersey will show you documentation that the state of New Jersey basically rejected the shared service. Let me just get back to the point of the question. The point of the question is us working together, including the community, and coming up with good goals and making sure that the committee that's put together functions properly in reference to shared service. And that's what I'm hoping we can do as mayor and council. We can put some committees together to really discuss serious shared service in the state of New Jersey. I mean, in the borough of Roselle.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, let's go on. There's been several questions in varying ways regarding crime and deployment of the officers on the street. How would you address improving and what plan would you have for curtailing crime in the streets?
Sure. The first part of it is we need more community policing. We have approximately 60 officers now, so there's no reason why we can't have a parking wall, or we can't have more officers that are on the ground. One of the things that I discussed with our chief is in reference to having some of the higher ranking officials get more involved in stopping their cars, getting out and talking to citizens. We just had a town hall meeting when the chief came out. We need to have more of those town hall meetings. We get to meet the chief, you get to know who your captains are, your lieutenants. We're paying a lot of money for policing, and everyone should know. We used to have this back in Roselle back in the day where people were involved with the police department and with the community. We need to get back to that. I know that we're changing in a cultural way, but that still should not stop us from getting together and dealing with police issues and having more community policing when it comes to our police department. Because we're a small town. And since we're a small town, we should know our police department, be involved in our police department, and also put together block associations when it comes to us getting more involved in our community, because the more aware we are and the more involved we are, the better our police force can be. Thank you.
Mr. O'Connor.
When I was on the Public Safety Committee on council, one of the biggest initiatives was the park and ride, where they would park, walk the neighborhood, shake hands with the young people, stop in on the local businesses so they would get to know the business owners, and kind of get a sense of who should be in the neighborhood and who shouldn't, because that's, I think, a skill police kind of develop. You know, they can know that if somebody's there that shouldn't be there and bring attention to it. I think also, I agree, that the more the community becomes involved, all right, with community block watches, go to meetings, understand what's going on, and the police gives us information about what's going on. I think that's very important. I think also we should ask our police to volunteer a lot more in town in a variety of events, not just be there to direct traffic, etc., which is they always do. And I think that they should come and volunteer in programs so that people can kind of rub shoulders with them, get to know them by first name. And I think, especially for our young people, that'll bring them, you know, to have a much more trust level with our police. Thank you.
That's a great question. One of the things I did as council president was take the mayor to court because he failed to appoint a permanent police chief that would stabilize the police department. We won that case. We were able to, as a council, to appoint a permanent police chief. We do have community policing. The problem is that we don't have enough of the residents who want to invite the community policing to their streets or their organizations. We do have a few, and we do have a few that are working. We do have a growing population of community block watch associations. But under my leadership as councilman at large, when other towns and municipalities were laying off police officers, we hired 3 to put more cops on the street. We also restructured the police department to put more of the top level captains and lieutenants back down onto the streets. And that's one of the reasons why I'm proud to be running with Randy Sandiford, who is a Jersey City police detective, because knowing the growing issues that we have in crime in Roselle and knowing the noticeable crimes that we do have in Roselle, you need someone who is an expert in that particular field to make sure that those issues are brought to the table and handled in accordance.
Thank you. Any 30 seconds? Okay.
Just a follow-up on my comment, not a rebuttal. But I think that if we bring police out to our volunteer programs in a volunteer capacity, that really will create a very different playing field, a much more level playing field with the community, knowing who these police officers are, not just seeing in the cars. And I know they do park and I know they walk, but I would really push hard with that. That's one of the things as a mayor, I think I would work with the police chief or any superior officers to try to get to their rank and file and let them know how important that is to come not just in uniform, all right, but out of uniform to rub elbows and get to meet our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith.
Just a quick rebuttal in reference to the police chief situation. All police chiefs that I work with, I've had a very good working relationship with them, whether they've been in acting capacity or whatever capacity, and it really did not matter whatever their title was. It's important that we work together as a community. We have the police involved, and all this back and forth on the court. I'm hoping that this situation stops. There's nothing that anyone should be proud of about this whole court situation. But really, it's all about us working together. We're a small town. We have a good police force. Thank you.
May I start with you, Mr. O'Halloran? I haven't time for any more questions, but there are several cards that are concerned about the foreclosed homes and vacant lots that are empty and not being taken care of. There are eyesores and they make the town look unwelcoming and run down to other prospective buyers. What, as mayor, can you do about that?
When I was knocking on the doors, that aside from taxes, obviously, that was one of the big ticket items. And many times when the porch I was standing on, a person could turn and point next door or across the street at an empty house. And unfortunately, with the weather warming, we were looking at an empty house with 2 to 3 feet of grass. That, to me, is a major objective that this town has to take on. We have to fill those houses. I'm being honest with you. My feeling, I do not want a shovel put in this town in any soil to build a house until we can get those 400 plus empty houses on blocks like the one across from my house filled. And that's what people need to do. We have to put the mortgage companies on task, you know, to try to sell them quicker. We have to put liens on the mortgage companies if the owners have left to make sure these properties at least look pretty and attractive so that a potential buyer will buy it. But I don't want to shovel in the ground anywhere to put housing until we can start to get some of these 450 plus houses that are abandoned sold.
Thank you. Excellent question. One of the things that I did when I first realized that there was a major foreclosure problem and/or tax problem in Roselle is I established the Roselle Property Tax Assistance Program, which saved people to stay in their homes and provided a property tax payment plan for residents of Roselle to do a payment plan to the borough to make sure that they stayed in their homes. To issue the quality of life, to address the quality of life issue is that as the councilman at large, I directed our Department of Health, our code enforcer, and also other officials in our town to set up a particular hotline at DPW to call that if there's any issues or any quality of life issues that are going on in our municipality, that they are addressed immediately. That's one of the things I do. As mayor, what I want to do is to continue upon that. Continue upon the things that we've already started. We've done a lot of work. We've put a lot of work into this municipality and addressed some of the concerns. This has been a very difficult time in public office during this time. And we've set the groundwork and stage to address these particular issues.
Mr. Smith?
Yes. In reference to foreclosures, it's important that you realize that the last council meeting we put together an ordinance in reference to maintenance. Many of you may live next to a foreclosed home where the grass is high, where the property is not being kept. Well, we have to go in as a borough and fix those properties. But what we did is we made sure that whenever a property goes into foreclosure and is bank owned, that bank has to set aside money in escrow so we don't lose tax money by having to fix those properties up. I introduced that ordinance to the council, and I was happy that finally they supported something I put through. But they supported that situation, and that worked out extremely well. Then the other part of it is that, as I said, back in 2008, we had a $2.5 million grant, and many of the people in the Second Ward will tell you that they live next to abandoned properties that we ended up purchasing with grant money and fixing those properties up. They were eyesores, and now they're beautiful properties. If you ride down the Second Ward, you will see many properties that we fixed up with that grant, that $2.5 million. And as I said, that was not matching money. That is money that came through the grant and through the development by borrowing money from the bank. And so it's important that you understand maintenance and that you also understand development.
Thank you. We've got just time for the last question, and I'm going to start with you, Mr. Smith. And if elected mayor, what 3 items will you make your first priority if elected?
Elected, okay. The first 3 priorities, first of all, is to work on cutting costs. Taxes are the #1 issue in this borough. We're working on redevelopment. We have there's a $2 million, well, it's a mixture of grants that are in reference to our Chestnut Street area. It's important that we partner, as former Councilman Muhammad said, we have to partner with our business community and make sure they know that we are good partners. And one of the ways we do that is through our UEZ. So there's funding that we set aside to develop Chestnut Street. Also, I'm helping to develop in a smart way St. George Avenue, because I'm unhappy with a lot of things that's going forward in St. George Avenue. I think we can do better. There are many businesses that have sat down with me personally to discuss ideas that they have for St. George Avenue, take St. George Avenue to the next level. So redevelopment is one. The second is working closer with our school system. We used to have a very good relationship with the school system. I want to sit down with the president, the superintendent, to make sure that we're working close with our school system. We need each other. We need to work together as a team. So we need to have as many cohesive ideas when it comes to our school system. I realize the mayor does not oversee it, but he can work together with it. Thank you.
1 minute is awfully hard. 2 or 3 issues in 1 minute.
I don't know which mic to use. Right, the first thing I would do, sometimes people like to put labels. If If you want to put a label on my mayoral tenure, I would say I'd like to be called the mayor of the Chamber of Commerce. Not that I don't want to be mayor of Roselle, because that's what I want to be, but I will work so closely with the chamber, because I really believe, as I stated earlier, businesses bring in business, and that's not magic. Beyond that, I want to really bring back quality of life initiatives. When I was on council, we had the Roselle 5K race. It was, I think, one of the best things we did. We had 300, 400 plus people come into town, outsiders, because we have to start to sell our town. We need to have people to know what Roselle is, because we are a beautiful town. Go beyond the main streets, beautiful manicured town. People care about this town. We have to get that message out. Remember when I used to come to my council, I used to bring a stack of newspaper articles. People used to laugh, but they were all pro articles. I want to see those articles back in the paper about this community that is Roselle. And most importantly, I will bring back the professionalism and Robert's Rules of Order to the council meetings.
Thank you. Mr. Holly.
Thank you. The first thing I'm going to do as mayor of Roselle is continue the progress of redevelopment. Redevelopment will address any and every issue that we have underneath that, whether it's property taxes, services, school system. We've already proven that we can hold the line on the budget. That's why the state took away $250,000 from us for extraordinary aid to give you property taxes. We've already proven that. With redevelopment coming in with new ratables, we are going to be able to bring in those new revenues to start to stabilize the property taxes and the increase in our budget that we already have. We've already proven it. We are already on a road of accomplishment. We just need to focus on the redevelopment, which will address any and every single issue that comes after that. Redevelopment is key. Redevelopment will bring in new money, and redevelopment will address any of those increases that we have on the budgetary side that we've already proven that we can hold the line on.
Thank you. And we really do have to stop the questioning now and move on to the closing statements. I'm going to say something though to the candidates, because there's at least 3 questions here that ask if you're not, and I'm not asking you to respond, but just keep it in mind that if you aren't elected mayor, how will you continue to serve the community? So just think about that. It's been asked several times. But so now we're going to move on to the closing statements, and we're going to have the candidates speak in reverse order, and it's for 2 minutes. And the first speaker will be Janelle Holland.
Thank you again. I want to thank all of you for coming out this evening, and I also want to thank the League of Women Voters and the Roselle Collaborative who has sponsored this wonderful event. I know the debate cannot in any way tell you how we feel, what our thoughts are, and what we would like to do in the borough of Roselle in one particular hour. But I think over the last few years that I've served as borough councilman, I've displayed to you that I care about this community. And even in the toughest of times, I made the hard decisions to ensure that your needs and your wants have been represented. As your mayor, I want to make you proud. I want to build that confidence in all of you that you so desperately want over the years that you have not had representation in Roselle. I am born in this community. I was raised in this community. I have a vested interest in this community, and I want to make you proud. I have no hidden agenda other than to provide a valuable representation for this particular community. I'm proud to be a part of this community. I'm proud to be a person who want to represent you. It's such a plan that we have, and I can't tell you the vision that our team has for Roselle. It's not about going back to where we was. It's not about where we are right now. It's about moving Roselle forward. I have the energy, I have the experience, I have the education, but more importantly, I have the love of this town to bring it forward. And with your help, in 6 days, we can actually make a change in Roselle. We could put us to bickering, we could have stopped to the back and forth, and finally have a government that each and every one of you believe in. Each and every one of you want elected officials who care about you. And on June 7th, you have that opportunity. I'm proud to be running with 2 extraordinary candidates, Louisiana for the 3rd Ward and Yves Allberg in the 1st Ward. 2 gentlemen who have invested their entire young adult lives here with their children to make Roselle better. Give us that opportunity, I ask you. Just give us that opportunity, and we will make you proud. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next speaker is Joseph O'Connor.
As my interview comes to an end, I think it's important for you to remember that what I bring is what any employer would want someone to bring, and that's experience and credentials. That's what you're hiring. I have that. I have a credential of 3-term counsel and did many things while I was there. But beyond that, I'm like you. I'm not going anywhere. I have lived here for 27 years. I own my home. I pay my property taxes. I raised both my daughters here. We're not going anywhere. I stepped into this race because I think I can bring Roselle to a new and better direction. That's why it's my face on my signs. I want you to know that. I'm committed to this 100%. When I was a councilman, and those who remember, we know, I did not shortchange you. I gave you everything I have, and I will give you everything I have again to lead this community as your mayor and make you proud. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Garrett Smith.
Stand up too.
Social pressure. Social pressure.
Yes. First, I want to thank you for this evening. I thought you did an excellent job moderating. It was much better than council meetings, but this is very good. We had information out, and really, I enjoyed debating back and forth because this is really what it's all about. We need to debate the issues and stop getting so personal. But really, I'm looking forward to serve this community another 4 years. I have my heart in what I do. I care about the residents in this town. I think I show a record of accomplishment when it comes to grants, when it comes to shared service, when it comes to quality of life, when it comes to working with our seniors, working with our young people. I do it all. And even as the question was asked, what would you do if you're not reelected? Well, I've already shown that because I volunteered my time for 15 years in this town with no pay whatsoever. And that's how I got involved as being a volunteer in this town and caring about young people. And many times, even as mayor, I step outside of the borough government and I do things with seniors and other people that it has nothing to do with me being mayor whatsoever. But it's because I care about this town, I want to make a difference in this town. And I'm not a politician, I'm just someone who's a part of the community that got involved and really, really, truly wants to make a difference in your lives. And that's the only reason that I'm your mayor. Thank you very much, and God bless you.